Good morning, Keith Tebow from FRCMedia. Thank you for joining us today. With the schools now up and running for about a month or so, there's still concerns about how students are adapting to learning under new models. In the city of Fall River, of course, the city's public schools are sort of in a hybrid model where there are some students that are working 100% remotely from home, and they're able to take part in their classes remotely. The rest of the students are actually in what's called a hybrid model, where based on the week, they're either going to be attending classes in school in person or at home learning remotely. And there's been a lot of discussion on how some of those students are handling that hybrid model and how they're able to learn remotely. And one of the problems is that it's sort of in some ways an issue for parents who have to work and also have to be aware that every other week their students need to be at home taking classes. And one of the concepts that's been thrown about is something called a learning pod, which is sort of a on-site, not in school location where hybrid students can actually be part of learning remotely, but with help from those that are trained to help students in terms of their learning. And People Incorporated has announced, it just opened this week, that they are having one of these virtual learning pods at their location on South Main Street in Fall River. We're going to talk about the virtual learning pod today. I'm pleased to be joined by Peter Daley. Peter is the Director of Public Relations at People Incorporated. Peter, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Hi, Keith. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for joining us. I want to actually start with, the learning pod concept. I guess how did People Incorporated get involved with taking the initiative to helping hybrid students and their families with this learning pod?
Yeah, well, we saw the opportunity available when we realized there were some learning pods popping up around the city already with some organizations, and we knew we had the capacity to do it. So we applied for it, got licensed with alacrity in a very quick way, and we got it up and running.
So let me ask you, how does the learning pod work? And how does this program in Fall River benefit families in Fall River in terms of helping their students learn?
Yeah, sure. So a learning pod, it's space that's reserved for students to work remotely, especially for those they're not able to be home or have supervision on the days that their school holds remote sessions. We have outlets set up on tables, long fold-out tables. So they're placed far enough apart to ensure proper social distancing, so students can connect the Chromebooks that the school department assigns. We have staff available to assist students with navigating the technology. They help following their schedules correctly, facilitating their recreational periods, which is basically gym, and providing educational support. So we also serve breakfast and lunch. That's in partnership with the Fall River Public Schools. They help deliver it. And People Incorporated's particular learning pod, we have up to 40 slots. Right now, about half of which is filled.
Now, in terms of the need, I'm sure there are, as I mentioned in the opening, there are a lot of parents that having their children in the hybrid model, which means, every other week or so, their children have to be home and learning while they may have to work. Is that the focus of these pods in terms of reaching out to get parents involved that may have that need where they need to work, but also need to make sure that their children are learning appropriately?
As a benefit to all the families in the community who work or they're otherwise unable to be home to supervise the children. They're the ones who are going to benefit from these learning pods because they provide all the elements that I mentioned before. But in addition, the students probably benefit from the personal guidance we have a really qualified staff. They've shifted their focus, and it's the Smiles Mentoring Program, which is an affiliate of People Incorporated. So we have our program director, program coordinator, and all of our group leaders who are now organizing and coordinating this learning pod system. The Smiles Mentoring Program for many years has organize volunteer mentors to go into the schools and help mentor students. And obviously that can't happen this year. So this feels like a really good natural fit for the staff to kind of shift their focus and help the community.
And just as another background in terms of how this works, the learning pod that is at People Incorporated are focusing on students in the public schools in Fall River, grades 1 through 5, so no middle school, no high school students. And I guess, it could vary, Peter, in terms of where these students come from. Could be from a number of the elementary schools across the city. I guess, how is the staff handling the different modalities, the different topics that these students may face?
Sure. So there's actually every student has a different schedule because as you said, they're all coming from different classes. They're coming from different teachers. The challenge for the staff is to go to each student and make sure not only that they're doing their work, but they're also transitioning to each different class effectively. So we have a lot of staff. Well, all of the staff down there are going among the tables and making sure the students have access to the technology and that they're signed in correctly, but then also that they're following their schedule as they should be. And like I said, it's tough because they're all on different schedules, but that's what the staff's there for.
Now, in terms of parents who may be interested in registering their students, you said the program is about half filled. How can they reach out, find out information? And is there a charge at all for parents to take part in this program?
Right. The important thing to know first is that it's free. The particular learning pod for People Incorporated, there's no charge. But parents, if they're interested, should contact Melissa St. Pierre. She's the Director of Workforce and Community Partnerships at People Incorporated, and is now the quote-unquote Director of Learning Pods this year. So they can give a call to Melissa at 508-673-3845, or they can email Melissa at mstpierre@peopleincfr.org. There's potential to grow the program. There's like as you said, there's 40 slots, and we're keeping it at that number to maintain proper social distancing for the students. But also we're looking into other possibilities at other sites to expand it. So we're in talks with our other agencies to see if that's a possibility, and if it is, we'll make that known.
Now, also in terms of the timeline, is this expected to continue as long as there's the hybrid model in Fall River? I guess, is there a deadline in terms of funding when this would potentially end?
Yeah, so right now the funding and the expected timeline is until December, because I think that's when the remote learning is expected to go on to. If it does have to go on longer, then we're ready to apply and see if we can do our program longer as well. Because, we're always wanting to be there to accommodate the students and families who need this, and obviously there is a need. So if that need arises, then we'll see what we can do to keep it going.
So obviously a very important program for those parents who have their students in the hybrid model and are looking for options for them to be able to get help that they may need, while also allowing these parents to continue to work. So Peter Daley, the Director of Public Relations at People Incorporated, thank you for joining me today, and continued success with this, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. I appreciate it.
All right, Keith, thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, and thank you for joining us today here on FRC Media. Have a great day.